Day number 5, finding sides of triangles. First, we're going to review from yesterday. So here's our angle. I want side V, and I also have 37. Well, from this angle, V is the adjacent side, 37 is the hypotenuse. So adjacent and hypotenuse is cosine. So I'm going to write cosine 66 equals V over 37. Now, to solve this, I just multiply both sides by 37. So V equals 37 times cosine 66. Now, we need to change cosine 66 to its decimal. So we take out our table, go to cosine 66, which is right here, and we replace cosine 66 with 0.4067. So this is really 37 times 0.4067. When you multiply those two together, we get 15. And we're always going to round sides to the nearest whole number. Okay, so no decimals when we're talking about the sides of a triangle. For example 2, you notice I have 41 degrees, this angle. T is the opposite side, and 40 is the hypotenuse. So that's sine. So sine 41 equals T over 40. So again, I'm going to multiply both sides by 40. So it'll be 40 times the sine 41 equals T. And then I need to look up sine of 41 in my table. So this time I'm on the sine table. And I go to 41, which is 0.6561. So I replace sine 41 with 0.6561. And now just multiply those two together using your calculator, and you end up with 26. So you'll notice on both of these first two problems that the side we were looking for was always at the top of this fraction, which made it very easy to solve, because then all you do is multiply by 40 in this case, or 37 in this case. There's another option. Sometimes the angle you're looking for is going to be in the denominator, or the bottom of the fraction, and that requires a little different technique. So that is today's lesson. So this is new material. Solving for a side when the unknown is in the denominator. So here's our angle, 62 degrees. You'll notice we have the adjacent side and the hypotenuse. But the hypotenuse is what we don't know. Well, adjacent and hypotenuse suggest cosine. So it's the cosine of 62 degrees equals adjacent over hypotenuse. That's a Q. So now I can't just multiply both sides by Q, I'm going to have to do another step. So first I'm going to multiply both sides by Q, moving it to the side and getting rid of it over here. So now I have Q times cosine 62 equals 21. And now I need to get rid of this cosine 62 so that I have Q all by itself. And the way we would do that is we would divide by the cosine 62 on both sides. So I end up with Q equals 21 over the cosine 62. And now I'm going to look up cosine of 62 on my cosine table. So I'm looking for 62. I find it here, 0.4695. So I'm going to replace cosine 62 with 0.4695. And now I divide these two, and I get 42.59. And for our purposes, we're going to round this to the nearest whole number, which would make it 43, since the decimal is 0.5 or more. So if you really look here, what ends up happening is the Q and the cosine 62 simply change places. It's 2 steps of algebra, but if you know that's what's going to happen, you could just do that. Skip a step. So let's try a second example. I've got 68-degree angle here. The opposite side is 32. The adjacent side is V. Well, opposite and adjacent suggests tangent. So I'm going to say tangent 68 equals opposite over adjacent. Again, I have the unknown in the denominator. And I have tangent over here. So these two are just going to trade places. For the same reason when we did it before. Now I'm going to replace tangent 68 with the decimal. So I have to go to the tangent page of sine, cosine, tangent, and I'm looking for the tangent of 68. 68 is right here, 2.4751. So I replace tangent 68 with 2.4751. I divide those two on my calculator, and I get 12.92. And for our purposes, we're going to round that to the nearest whole number and call it 13. So after you write the tangent statement, if the unknown is in the denominator, you simply trade those two. Okay? Which is different than yesterday, because yesterday the unknown was in the numerator, top of the fraction, and then we simply multiplied both sides by 40. So you have to understand which kind of problem you're looking at. Let's try the last example. I have angle 46 degrees. This is the adjacent side. That's the hypotenuse. Adjacent and hypotenuse suggests cosine. So I have cosine 46 equals adjacent over hypotenuse. Again, my unknown is in the denominator, so I'm just going to trade these two. And then, of course, I'm going to look up cosine of 46 on my cosine sheet. 46 at the top of the third column, 0.6947. So it's 8 over cosine 46. I think I made a mistake. It's 0.6947. There we go. 0.6947. And now I divide those on my calculator. And I get 11.51, which we are going to round to the nearest whole number, which would make it 12, since it's 0.5 or more. So just remember, if your unknown is in the denominator, or the bottom of the fraction, we need to solve for that, and after multiplying both sides by k and dividing both sides by cosine 46, in essence, these two simply trade places. So the k comes over here, and the cosine 46 comes down here.